Just thinking about time, how many clocks do you have in your house? Just do a quick mental count of the clocks you have in your house. Probably not as many as you used to. As I sat down and counted them, I think I counted 16 at our house, which I think is a lot. There's the microwave, the stove, the Keurig, the TV. There's 2 cable boxes. That's 5. When I was moving in a couple weeks ago, someone carried a box with a cuckoo clock. That's 6. I have a cell phone. Jill has a cell phone. That's 8. Her computer's 9. We have 2 cars. That's 11. I have a smart thermostat. That's got a clock. It's 12. And then we have a smart house. You get one of those panels where you can remotely turn up your heat. That's another one. And I'm missing a few. Oh, the water softener's got a clock on it. A lot of clocks. And going hand in hand with clocks, how many calendars do you have? Probably not as many calendars. You might have one in the kitchen, maybe one taped to the fridge inside a cupboard door, maybe in the garage. You've got one on your computer, your phone's got a calendar. Clocks and calendars, why so many? I think because you and I, we have an obsession with time. We're obsessed to know with what time it is. We are a nation of schedulers, or maybe it's better to say over-schedulers, because there's all these places we have to be at all the time. And if anything happened to our clocks and calendars, we're going to have one of 2 reactions. One, you're going to say, I'm retired, I don't care. The other would be a sense of panic setting in, because we'd have to know, well, what day is it, and am I late or am I early? Time. We're just obsessed with it. We need to know what time it is. We need to know what day it is. The Christian church keeps time too. We follow a church year, and that church year, it begins today. If you didn't know when you left for church this morning, you certainly knew when you got here, because all of a sudden we're wearing blue with the trees, the decorations are all up. Something's different, something's changed. This is the first day of the new year in the church year. It's Advent. And so we begin by looking back. Advent is going to be focusing us back when God left eternity, entered into time, so that he could save us. And just a great lesson for us today is from Romans, who talks about, here the Lord talks to us about time. And do this, he says, understanding the present time, the hour has come for you to wake up from your slumber, because your salvation is nearer now than when you first believed. The night's almost over, the day's almost here, so let us put aside the deeds of the darkness and put on the armor of light. Now, what are we to do? What is it we're supposed to do? I read the first part of the chapter, so you already know what we're supposed to do. 1, we're supposed to obey the government and submit to the authorities. That's 1. The second thing that we're supposed to do is love one another. Now we're thinking to ourselves, well, wait a minute, what's this got to do with Advent? And then the whole government thing, and the whole love thing. We live in such confusing times today. With the social justice warriors and all. How do we feel about the government? Well, I'm only going to obey the government if they don't infringe upon my rights. I'm only going to obey the government if they tell me to do something I don't think is wrong. And then love. The whole love thing is upside down. See, we live in a world today where we treat others the way they treat us. But if you're nasty to me, I'm going to be nasty right back at you. That's the message of the world. So government and love and Advent, what? Why? What's God talking about here? Well, it's because of this. You and I, we know what time it is. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up from our slumber. The world, it can so easily cast a spell over us. You know, the world, it surrounds us with all those soothing sounds of the sinful flesh. Oh, and sin is a familiar sound to us. It is. No, it really is. It's a familiar sound. And when we're not regularly listening to the voice of God to keep us awake, you know, we just drift off into this spiritual stupor. We go right back to those rhythms that we're so familiar with. The sinful nature sounds. And so our epistle lesson comes to us. You know, God speaking through us, through the Apostle Paul. The message is, hey, gotta wake up. Come on, wake up. It's time for us to look up. It's Advent. It's time for us to remember that Christ came into the world to die for us. And you have to know, as he came the first time, he's coming back again to judge the living and the dead. And the last day, it is closer now than it's ever been in your life. With every tick of the clock, every turn of the page of the calendar, this sinful world, it is almost over. And so it's time for us to wake up. It's time for us to put away the deeds of the darkness. And Paul gives us a list of what the deeds of the darkness is. He's not giving us a full list, but he's giving us a list, so we got an idea. Here's what the Lord says. Let us behave decently, as in the daytime, not in orgies and in drunkenness, not in sexual immorality and debauchery, not in dissension and jealousy. Wow. There's some pretty vivid things going on here in Paul's little list. Orgies. The orgies he refers to is the late night bar scene in Greek and Roman society. You know, that noisy parade of drunks as they leave the bar in the middle of the night, you know, yelling and screaming and hooting and hollering, all in honor of their god of wine, Bacchus. Oh, and alcohol. Alcohol is great at removing boundaries. You know, you have a few drinks and, well, maybe we should have a few more drinks. You know, judgment is just left by the wayside. And the boundaries of sexuality that God has put around marriage, it's just gone. And it's adultery everywhere. The Lord mentions dissension and jealousy. They go hand in hand. There's always someone bigger, someone better, someone smarter, someone richer than we are. And, you know, sometimes we feel, we got to level the playing field every once in a while. And you add alcohol to that mix, and you get a bar fight. This happens in every city around the world. You know, the police expect that thing to kind of happen at 2 and 3 in the morning. These are the deeds of the darkness. They take place at night because you and I, we know that they're wrong, and we just don't want anybody to see them. Now, Paul's not giving us an exhaustive list. We don't need a big exhaustive list. It's a list good enough to know of what happens when we just let our sinful nature do whatever it wants. These are the sins of selfishness. And selfishness is that soothing sound of the sinful world around us. Selfishness. I want to drink more because I don't want to be so. I want to gossip and backstab because I don't like that other person. And I don't like how that other person makes me and my family look. I have to bring them down so I can feel better about myself. See, these are the deeds of darkness. These are the things we do. And they're the deeds of darkness because we know that they have to be covered up. We don't want them to be showing in the light of day. Of course, we try to cover them not with darkness, but we try to cover them up with excuses. And these are just a few. And there's so many others. Here's one. We just came off Black Friday. Here's one. I want to spend all my money on myself because I earned it. I want to have everything around me. I want it all. all. I'm like a 2-year-old. I want it all because I'm not satisfied with what I have. I want more. I want to stay away from Bible class because you know what? I get enough of that God stuff. I'm already giving God 1 hour. That's enough. After church, I want to go to brunch because it's what I want to do. And then I want to go home. And I want to sit in front of the TV. And I want to watch the game. Let us put aside, God says, the deeds of darkness. And let's put on the armor of light. You know, if we have to actually put them aside, and you know that you do, then we're admitting that we're holding on to them. We have to let go. These are the things that we do. These are the things that we're capable of. It's time to let go of the deeds of the darkness and to put on the weapons of light. Soldiers don't make their own weapons. Soldiers don't buy their own weapons. Soldiers are given weapons. You did not make the weapons of light that the Apostle Paul is encouraging you to take up. They are made for you by a master. Clothe yourselves with the Lord Jesus Christ. And don't think about how to gratify the desires of the sinful nature. None of us made the clothes of righteousness that we're wearing this morning. We didn't make those clothes. You and I, we were dirty and scarred and ugly when we came to that font. And when we left, we were beautiful, covered with the righteousness of Christ. The scars that you inflict upon yourself with just the stupid things you do, the sins we commit, are covered by the scars of Christ. All that ugly selfishness that is so much a part of us, the sinful nature, are covered with Christ's selflessness. The robe of righteousness that you wear, that's your baptism. And you know, you have to understand, that's all you need. That's all you need. In and of ourselves, we could never take on that roaring lion, Satan, never. But Christ has given us everything that we've lacked. We have his righteousness. And there's several other things that our Lord has given us, and I'll mention them. Number one, he's given us self-control. You and I, we are actually capable of staying within the boundaries that God has made for us. You don't have to scratch that itch. You can actually say no to temptation. Christ has given us self-control. That's one. Second, Christ has given you his selflessness to use as your own. We worry about so many things. We worry about things, and we become obsessed, and we focus on us. You know what Christ has done? He's taken care of all your worries. They're already dealt with. They're already done. He takes care of all of our worries. Why? So that you and I, we have time to stop focusing on self, but be concerned about other people. To be selfless and love others. And third, Christ has given us his perfection to use as our own. All those deeds of the darkness, they're covered. So the armor of baptism is the armor of light. And light, you know, light always wins. The night may seem long. It sometimes seems that daylight will never get here, but the dawn always comes. It always does. And the day of Christ is going to come. It's on its way. So I want you to remember what time it is. It's one day closer to eternity. It's time to wake up. It's time to put down the deeds of the darkness. It's time to remember our baptism, to clothe ourselves with Christ. It's time to pick up the weapons of light. Let us rise. And we turn to our creed as we find it on page 7.